Shalom, everyone, and we are facing the year 5785. We all know that we are in the middle of an era of great changes. We have to remember everything is for the good, although changes are not so easy for most people. Some people just love and get excited from any kind of change. And we would like to be these kind of people that embrace the change and welcome the change. And because the change is really on a historical scale that humanity is going through, and let us learn what it's all about and what is our job to make it the best for all of us. So, as I said before, as I said, like last year, just a year ago, I said that you don't need to be a prophet to realize it's going to be a very, very challenging year, very difficult, and because the tectonic changes that are happening all over the world and every household, every person, every individual is connected more than ever to the great changes of humanity. We are all in it together. So, and this year the change is continuing because this is a process that started 5 years ago, in the year 5780. The process is like this huge power forcing humanity to shift into an era with more justice, more equality, more unity, um, whatever is getting closer to spirituality, to justice, to truth. And that means that whatever is not working well needs to somehow transform before it's transforming, needs to fall apart. So let's see how Rosh Hashanah is crucial in that process and what can we do about it. So let's first of all, most people who know about Rosh Hashanah, it's like, well, we celebrate the New Year. So what can we do about it? What do people do on January 1st? They celebrate and that's it. Oh, some people do New Year's resolutions. Is that the same over here, or we have something of a greater scale? And that's exactly what we're talking about. And whoever knows something about the traditions of Rosh Hashanah, there is the blowing of the shofar. What is it for? And the apples and honey, which is another symbol. They're the two major symbols of Rosh Hashanah. And what are these symbols about? What do they come to symbol? Oh, and you'll realize that the shofar and the apples and honey, they have the same message. And let us see what is that message. So let us start with Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, with the Ramchal, when he explains to us the basic idea of what's happening on Rosh Hashanah. So first of all, let me explain before I read the text. We have to understand. Rosh Hashanah means in Hebrew the head of the year. It's not New Year's. It's called the head of the year. And the moment we see the word head, Rosh, we know that the head of the government controls supposedly the government. The head of a person supposedly controls the body. The head of a company controls the company. So when we use the word head, we're using the term of the control, the place where the control is happening. Which means if we go with that line of thought, Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, it means we have the power to control on Rosh Hashanah what is going to happen in the different organs of the year, which means the different days of the year. And there is a connection between the year and the organs because when we are talking about the biblical description of a human body, we're talking about 248 organs and 365 sinews. Sinews, it means conduits of power. Could be big blood vessels, big nerve system, whatever. Or sinews that deliver the power from the muscle to the bone. The word sinews has the meaning of delivering power, message, energy. So we have in the solar year 365 days. So that connects to the 365 sinews, which means the year can be looked upon as a big organ, like, everything in Kabbalah has a system. It's called the tree of life. It's called a face, which means it's all about everything in the universe is made when the moment you can define time, a an event, a, a an object, and especially an animal, it must be under the definition of the tree of life structure, DNA, and the same is about the time frame that is called a year. It has a head, it has a tail, it has the beginning, it has the end, it has a structure. And the structure is also according to the cosmic forces, 12 months a year. Today we know that all matter in the whole universe is made of 12 original particles that are not really particles, they're kind of, they call them uh, uh, strings of, it's like more vibrations, but there are 12 of them and they are divided into 6 and 6. The months of the year are divided also according to Kabbalah into 6 and 6, and each 6 is made of two triplets, like every season, 3 months a season, 3 and 3. I'm not going to explain, but we are talking about the cosmic structures that are aligned with the original DNA of the universe. Everything in the dimension of time and space, everything in the dimension of above time and space is aligned with the original forces. So we have to understand that whatever we see, perceive, uh, try to understand around us falls into the same patterns. That's why you need to study the tree of life in order to understand those patterns in your life. Now, so if we understand that the year is like an entity, and in the Hebrew language, a year is Shana. And the word Shana is very interesting because it has many meanings. The meaning is Shana means uh, when you repeat the lesson, when you repeat anything, which means there's a repetition, that's Shana. Uh, uh, when you repeat and you study by repeating, okay, rehearsing, that's also Shana. Shana is also from the word Shoneh, it's also different, different. So we have every year, on one hand, it's a repetition of the same forces that have been revealed to each one of us last year. It is a lesson, and it is also a repetition of opportunity so we can understand and get our lesson better. More than that, every year is a revelation of a certain force. We are talking about this year, 5785, the coming year. So it has a very distinct frequency that is different than 5784. All decade, the whole decade of 5780 and on, 5780s, is aligned to the when we talk about the 780, the number 780 is a number very, very magical number in a Kabbalah, and the numbers symbolize the source of bliss, the source of all that is good, the source of all that renewal, and the power that moves the universe always towards perfection. Perfection through improvement, perfection through bliss and love, endless love, perfection through also understanding that our purpose as human beings is to enjoy being humans, enjoying being created. And as long as we do not apply that state of mind, as long as we carried on with uh, anxieties, fears, hatred, upset, confusion, and so on, which means we are not getting the lesson. So here, during this decade, humanity is being kind of pushed, huge push, moving into realizing that we don't really enjoy the culture we created along the last century. You know, the last century, even less than that, after World War II, created a new distinct culture that did not exist earlier. It's a culture that is based of a lot of personal freedom, freedom of access to knowledge, that even in dictatorships, you still have the access to knowledge through all the media that emerged during just the last few decades. Just if we're talking about the huge, uh, the huge revolution just in the last 20 years, since the smartphone appeared and became like a possession for every person. It's a little bit more, yes, 20 years, around 20 years and less, in which you can live in a village in the most remote place, but you have access to information, technology that humans never had the ability to access to it. And now it is either technology of the physical growth or technology of the mind, spirituality. So the revelation of all of that gave humanity freedom like never before to have access towards resources. And wisdom gives you the access to resources of energy, power, sustenance, and more and more and more. And we're less and less limited. What's the problem? We're less happy. Somehow, we should come to terms that what about our calling? And that's what Rosh HaShanah is about. Rosh HaShanah is about the head of the next season of learning, the next cycle of improving, growing, getting closer to what we're supposed to be uh, in our lives. So, how does that happen? So something to understand that when the year is starting, what's going on? Something, if we go to study the teachings of Rabbi Azakloria, the great Kabbalist of the 16th century, he was teaching in Safed in the Galilee, Upper Galilee in Israel, in the 16th century. And what Rabbi Isaac Luria was saying, the Arizal, a holiday is called Mikra'ei Kodesh, calling the holiness in. What holiness? A holiday is not a memorial day that in the sense of today, there's a memorial day for the D-Day. Okay, there's a Memorial Day for it. There are all kinds of days the governments around the world they commemorate something that connects to the common memory of the nation. Okay, so to build a narrative for the nation, but the biblical holidays are not about that sense. They're about one important thing. Whenever we have a biblical holiday, we have a cosmic event that was founded sometime in the past a revelation of a certain powerful energy that is useful for us happened, and it impressed itself on the cycle of time, the wheel of time. And every time that wheel reaches the same point, the same force reveals itself, is broadcasted again. And that's why we have to call it in. That's why it's called calling the holiness in. Mikra e Kodesh, calling the holiness in. Why do we need to call it in? Because it creates a heavenly gate in time in which we can have access to extra forces that are not available during the rest of the days of the year. And therefore, we have to leave everything and not to miss the train, get on board and have access to the forces being revealed on that special day. So, and also if you understand the word for Hebrew, in Hebrew for holiday, Chag, another word is Chag. Chag means making a circle, making a circle. Like the verb in Hebrew, Chag, here it's used as as a noun, but there's a verb, Chag, when let's say an airplane is reaching destination. And sometimes it has to get into to get in line with other airplanes. So it makes circles around the airport in high in the sky. That called in Hebrew chag, making circles. That's a verb. The noun chag means that we made a circle, and now we came to the point we can have access to certain energy force that we want to tap into. So what? So when we're coming to a holiday, a biblical holiday, and we ask ourselves, okay, so what is being revealed during that day? What kind of cosmic power appears on that day? So we can call it in, harness it, and use it for our own spiritual growth. Uh, as a kind of a, like a rocket, he has like uh, there's a there's an engine that pushes it forward, and that's exactly what we need to use the holiday for. Okay, so what's happening on Rosh Hashanah? So our sages are saying very simple: Rosh Hashanah is the birth of the universe. How many people were there to testify, to register? Of course, nobody was there. So how can you say? So we are not, so we understand that we are not, time was only created in the birth of the universe. So till time got into the shape time we know now, it took a while that we cannot count without time. Just last year, scientists somehow through the most modern technology, they could peek to very close to the birth of the universe, to their whatever methods they have. And they found out that in the beginning of the universe, time was not moving at the same pattern and speed as it's moving today, which was exactly the basic idea of the Jewish sages who established the Hebrew calendar. The Hebrew calendar of 5785 is counting how long do we count, how long humanity, if you know a little bit of quantum mechanics and the uncertainty principle, how long do we count time the way we do? This is 5785. What happened before? It took a long time. However, human consciousness was not there to testify the way we know it. And therefore, it's irrelevant, if you understand quantum physics, it's irrelevant to try even to say how long was it. Could be 200 billion years, could be 15 billion years. The problem is the time we know did not exist the way we know it those days because consciousness, human consciousness, did not exist the way it exists right now. And therefore, it's totally insignificant. How long did it take? How many billions? It doesn't matter because we cannot compare apples to oranges. It's two different frames. Now, last year, there are already proofs that time did not behave the same way then as it's behaving now. So the moment we say that the universe was created on Rosh HaShanah, we have one of the proofs is the first word in the Torah, Bereshit. The shoresh of that word is Reish Aleph Shin, Rosh, the head. So you don't translate it into in the beginning, but at the head of things. Okay, that's a better translation, more connected to the way it's written. So that's the word Bereshit. But Bereshit, if you take that word, the first word of the Torah, if you realign the order of the letters, you get Aleph B'Tishrei, which is the Hebrew date of of Rosh Hashanah, the first day of the month of Tishrei. So when you understand that, so we have here a sign that the universe was created on Aleph B'Tishrei. Are we talking about we're trying to count time? No, we are saying that there is something on the first day of Tishrei, on Rosh Hashanah, that is connecting us to the birth of the universe. What did it say also? That Adam was created on Rosh Hashanah. But according to the story of the creation, that was on the sixth day. Was that Rosh Hashanah again on the sixth day? So how long did it take from the first day to the sixth day? Was it a year? Was that 200 billion years and 6 days? Just to show us that on the first 6 days, we're not talking on time frames that we recognize with our senses and our imagination. But again, if the birth of Adam and Eve was on Rosh Hashanah, and the birth of the universe was Rosh Hashanah, and the sin of Adam was on Rosh Hashanah, and that means that the birth of time, the way we know it, was on Rosh Hashanah, we understand that somehow on Rosh Hashanah, the universe is going through a process in which everything goes to a user manual. It's like there is a connection to the birth of the universe. So when you read the Rosh Hashanah prayers, the concept of the birth of the universe is repeating itself again and again and again because that's the way Judaism sees Rosh Hashanah. It's the birth of the universe. It's not Rosh Hashanah for Jews. It's not Rosh Hashanah for Judaism. It's not Rosh Hashanah for the Rosh Hashanah for the Jews is Nisan, Eris. Why? This is when the Hebrews, slaves in Egypt, come out of Egypt and become a free nation. So that's why the biblical count is starting from the first month of redemption, which was Passover. Okay? So we celebrate Passover as a day of freedom that we came out from slavery into freedom. But Rosh Hashanah is the birth of humanity, the birth of the creation. And why was the creation in the first place? For the birth of humanity. And why was the birth of humanity? Because the thought of the creation was to create humanity so we can receive the infinite pleasure the Creator intended to share with each one of us. This is not negotiable, which means sooner or later we are all going to get it. So what is Rosh Hashanah about? You know, when you have a plan, once in a while, you have to check every part of the plan if it's working according to the business plan. And if not, you have to put it back on course. And that's what Rosh Hashanah is about. Rosh Hashanah is the day the universe is basically tested for how far is it from, basically, we're talking about human souls. How far human souls are from the goal? How far away did we get off there? And how to realign it? Same way, you have a car. Once in a while, you have to go to the garage in order to make alignments. So all the wheels turning are turning exactly in circle and are not going off a little bit. And if it starts a little bit off, then finally it goes like really terribly off, and that can destroy the system. So we are being checked, every human soul on Rosh Hashanah. You know, how far away are we from our original goal? And what should be done to get us back on course? So that's why when we go to this most famous prayer, Untane Tokef, that mostly Ashkenazim recite it on Rosh Hashanah, not only Ashkenazim, which means Jews of Central and Eastern Europe. And this is an ancient prayer. The tradition was that it was written by Rabbi Amnon of Mainz around the 1,000 years ago, a little bit less. But lately, some manuscripts were found from earlier time. Probably it is from the 5th century. And it's basically speaking about how should we perceive Rosh Hashanah. And this is this famous text. It says on Rosh Hashanah, בראש השנה ייחתמון ויום צום כיפור, ייכתבון ויום צום כיפור ייחתמון. On Rosh Hashanah, every human being will be written down, either in the book, and that's from the Talmud. There's the book of the wicked. They'll be written down for death, and there's a book of the righteous. They're being written down for life, and they're the ones who are not righteous and are not 100% wicked. They are hanging there till the end of Yom Kippur, and then it's being decided which book they're going to be written. And then it says who is going to die, who by fire. If you know, learn on the Bernstein's song, it's taken from there. Who by fire, who by sword, who by plague, and so on and so forth. And who will be having a nice, comfortable year, who will have a very troublesome year full of anxiety and a restless year. All of that is written there. And then it says, but teshuvah, tefillah, utzedakah, usually the congregation is singing that together, teshuvah, tefillah, utzedakah, ma'avirim et Torah gzara, which means teshuvah, returning. It's wrongly translated into repentance, but the Hebrew word is very simple. If you know Hebrew, teshuvah means to return, lashuv. We're going to talk about it. Teshuvah means when you return back closer to your Creator, tefillah, and you do that also with prayer, tzedakah with charity, that will remove the decree, which means it's not in God's hands, it's in our hands. In the big picture, God is in control, but in the small moves, we are in control because we have to make our own decisions. Every thought, every move, are we getting closer, which means returning to the source, to our Creator, or are we going farther away from Him? It's all about that. There's nothing else. So everything we go through every day is all about this idea. Are we getting closer? Are we getting farther away? So in order to realign the whole of humanity, you need a day in which you do kind of reset every human being's script. And because we're not alone, we are interacting with other human beings. So we have to be aligned with all other human beings around us. So we are all being matched with the people we're supposed to meet because that will awaken within us the test, the opportunity, the challenge that will give us the ability to ascend above who we've been till now and to acquire a new level of awareness that is closer to our calling. So what's happening? Every year on Rosh HaShanah, the whole of humanity is going into a process of restart, reset of all the past of our scripts, of our tikkun, of our karma, of the debts that we carry, and how do we, and what's the business plan to pay it back, correct it, uh, learn from it, overcome it during the coming year. So the more work we do on Rosh Hashanah, why? Because something very powerful is happening on that day. In order for God to help us to do our correction in a very intense way on Rosh Hashanah, the first 2 days, and the next 8 days, which culminate with Yom Kippur, there's a process that is called the Nesirah. It's called sowing. Sowing what? Like an operation. Remember that Adam and Eve, in the beginning, if you read carefully, in the beginning, God created Adam. And it says in this, the image of God, he created him, man and male and female, he created them, which means from the beginning, Adam was a male and a female. And then in chapter 2, God puts Adam to sleep and he is removing his Selah. Selah in Hebrew has two meanings. Either the meaning that most people in the translation read it as a rib, but in Hebrew it does not mean a rib. It means a side. A rib is on the side of the person. That's why it's called Selah. But if you look at it in Genesis, whenever, or even in Exodus, the word Selah is used mostly as a side. The side of the ark, the side of Noah's ark, the side of the Ark of the Covenant, as a side. Okay? So, so when it says that Eve is being removed from Adam, which means there was the female side and the male side, as it's being said very simply in Genesis chapter 1, okay? And these two sides are being severed from each other. In order to sever them like Siamese twins, you need to saw, like an operation, to saw the connection between the two. This is the kind of the metaphor. But every year, if we are going back to Genesis, going back to the creation, so the Nesirah, that separation comes all over again. How does that affect us? So Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, one of the greatest Kabbalists in the 16th century, the 17th century, sorry, the 18th century. He was Italian from Padua, although in the last days of his life, he moved to the northern part of Israel, in Akko, next to Akko. And he says as follows, ברצות הקדוש ברוך הוא, שתהיה עבודה בבני אדם. Because God wants that the work will be for people, that people do the work. Why? They're not free gifts. You want to receive all of God's pleasure because you were made in the image of God, God cannot owe anyone anything, and we can stand the idea that we owe somebody anything. So the work should be handed over to humans and not in the hand of the heavens. הנה יצטרך שהרצון העליון ייתן להם עניין שבו לא יהיו צריכים לו יתברך. So the upper will should give a space in which humanity can shine on their own without being dependent on him. So ויוכלו לפעול מצד עצמם כבחירתם, so they can act from their own aspect as their own free will. וזה נעשה במה שאמא יוצא מזעיר אנפין ונכנס בנוקבה ונוסרת אותה ממנו. And that is being done on Rosh HaShanah. That aspect in the divine level of the tree of life that is called Ima, mother, comes out and gets into and is sowing between the upper aspect and the lower aspect, male and female. And now it severs the two of them. And now that process makes the vessel being built on its own. And וזה מה שנותן בשורש התחתונים, כוח בלתי מצטרך אל ההערה העליונה. So that process, that is a cosmic process that happens for 10 days, it is starting, like the major part of it is on the first 2 days of the year, the first 2 days of Rosh HaShanah, and therefore it's kind of rebuilding ourselves, restarting ourselves, rebuilding our consciousness, rebuilding ourselves from our point of view, and basically embracing that idea of free will that we can rise and shine from our point of view as what is basically our job to be. Which means Rosh Hashanah is one of the most amazing cosmic gates that somehow we can connect to that idea that our destiny is in our hands, that God is not intervening over here, but is giving us the choice to return to him, to re-establish our consciousness, to reframe our state of mind, and by this, we restructure the coming year, because the year and all the scripts of the coming year will be according to who did we create out of ourselves on Rosh Hashanah. So on Rosh Hashanah, God is not doing anything but allowing us, presenting us the free will to choose what is that we want to become. So without depending on him, אלא מוטבע מעצמם, it's being minted in every creature, in every human being. שלא יפעלו בכוח מוכרח. It doesn't force us to move, אלא בכוח בחירי, it gives us the free will to choose. והיא הנותנת להם שבח ומעלה. And the moment you get the space to choose, when you choose who do you want to be, you know it's you. You know it's all about you. It's all about your choices that made you who you are. And that gives you the praise and the power of superiority of what you've been till now. שמשם ולהלאה נוגע להם לבוא על פני המלך. Now, when we come to face the King of the universe, we did it. It's from our choice. ונמצאים שותפים עמו יתברך בקיום עולמו והשלמותו. And by doing this, we become partners with the Creator in designing his universe, and bringing his universe into perfection. Why? The Nesirah, the concept of the Nesirah, from this point of view of the Ramchal, that is amazing. It's like let's say you have two people. They're married. They in love with each other. They're crazy about each other. And they can't do anything without each other, which means they spend time together. They eat breakfast together. They go to work together. They work in the same office. They do everything as partners. They go after that. They eat lunch together. They eat dinner together. They even go to vacations together. They do everything together. There's a time that you don't really know when you begin and when your spouse begins. It's like it's a mixture. Sometimes you need your own space just to be able to realize who are you? What are you? So when you unite again, you feel partners because you know what is that you bring into the partnership by realizing who are you and what are your qualities, that sometimes you're too close to each other, you can't tell the difference, you don't even know. Sometimes you think that you get lost in the togetherness. So you need sometimes to take a break so you can somehow get aligned with your own original self. This is happening every year during the 10 first days of the year. The Nesirah, that sowing, allows us to kind of regroup ourselves with what is me? Who am I? And what is it I really want? And how do I redefine myself? And what is it I bring to the partnership? In this case, it's not a husband and wife. It's about we as human beings being partners with the creator of the universe, because without us, this creation will never become and reach perfection. It will reach perfection only when we partner with him. He will not ever finish the creation by himself. He created it so our participation, our awareness, and our responsibility is a must in order to bring humanity into the whole creation into perfection. That's why when we talk about the Messianic age, and a lot of people get it really wrong, they think Messianic age is when the Creator gets involved, he sends the Messiah, and the Messiah does the job for everybody. So we don't, there are a lot of people, they are waiting for the Messiah to come. And you had the rumors the Messiah is coming next Rosh HaShanah. He's coming in 3 months. How many times did you already hear that in the last few thousand years? Why? Because if the Messiah is coming so soon, I don't need to do anything because he's going to fix it anyway. That's not the Messianic consciousness. The Messianic consciousness, as it says over here, is taking responsibility to partner with the Creator and together with Him, completing ourselves and completing the creation. The time for that, the time to realign with that is the beginning of the year, the head of the year. Depends on our work during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, how with that create the script of our own destiny. And if you realize it's about the destiny of the whole of humanity, everything is being determined during these crucial days. So the Zohar is kind of annoyed that a lot of people, because part of the script is, in order to live, you need to get the energy of life. You need to be written in the book of life. You need to have sustenance. You need to have family. All of that is being decreed on Rosh Hashanah. But this is not what the story is about, says the Zohar. In the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, if you read carefully the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, they don't speak about God, give us money, God, give us sustenance, God, give us health, God, let us live. No. The major concept is, I'm just giving you an example of the additional special prayers of Rosh Hashanah that are additional to the regular prayers. When we pray to the King of the universe, and we say and we pray, V'yeda kol pa'ul ki ata pe'alto, and every creature will know that you created him. V'yavin kol yetzu ki ata yitzarto, and every creature will understand that you formed him. V'yomar kol asher neshama b'apo, and everyone who has a soul in his nostril will say, Adonai Eloi Israel malach u'malchuto b'kol mashalah. God, the Lord of Israel, is the king, and his kingdom is ruling everything. So what are we praying for in Rosh Hashanah? We pray that the awareness of every human being will be elevated, exalted through our prayers, through the forces being revealed on Rosh Hashanah. So we are all moving all of humanity a little bit farther, a little bit closer to the goal. This is the purpose of Rosh Hashanah. Of course, if you just think about it, if we just think that when all of humanity will be more connected, closer to the creator of the universe, and they will feel his presence, so the president or the prime minister will do his job much better. The plumber that comes to fix your plumbing will do his job much better. Each one of us will perform much better according to his calling about what is my goal, what is my part in bringing humanity to perfection. So the more we are aware of the godliness and the creation, the more we understand it, of course, our functionality will be so much improved. And of course, when our functionality is so much improved, then the productivity will improve. The GDP of every country will be improved. There will be more peace, more productivity, more efficiency. Each one of us will have much easier way to achieve sustenance. We will all be much healthier. We will be much better with our connection to our family, community, everything around us. That's what we're praying for. So you're just asking to have a bigger allowance every year? Are you crazy? You want just that? You know, that famous story about that king that had a son, and the son misbehaved. And the more he grew up and he was a nuisance, and not just a nuisance, he just was a shame for the crown. So the government got together and they told the king, you have to get rid of this boy because he has to get out of the palace far away from the media. So he was sent to exile. He's now in a village far, far away, and he's working for that farmer that became his custodian. He's working on the fields the whole day. So he doesn't bring damage anymore. So the king wanted to go around to see what happens in his kingdom. So he went from one city to another, one village to another, and he simply allowed people to come and tell the king what's the worries, what's the problem, what their requests are. So he would understand how to govern the government, the kingdom. And when he comes, the king is coming to that village where his son is. And all the villagers are coming in front of the king to tell them about their requests. And finally, the son of the king, the crown prince, that supposedly the crown prince, but right now is in exile, is coming in front of the king, his father. And the king says, my son, what are your requests? What do you need? And then the son says, the farmer is giving me an allowance of 2 potatoes every day. Please tell him to give me 3. 2 potatoes are too little for me. I'm starving. I can't stand it. Please tell the farmer that employs me to give me 3 potatoes a day. The king said, you fool. You could ask, please, my father, my king, please get me back home. I got my lesson. I want to go back to the palace. I want to be at your side. I'll serve you. I'll do whatever. I'll learn whatever I need in order to take my position in the kingdom. And in the palace, you'll have more than 3 potatoes a day. I assure you, you'll have much more than that. And you're just asking for 1 more potato a day. You're such a fool. Okay, go back to the farmer. I'll talk to him. And that's exactly the story. You come Rosh Hashanah, and a lot of people in Rosh Hashanah, they ask, they want to make some more money. They want some more health and stuff like this. This is not what we're here for. This is not what we're here for. We're here to ask for something much bigger. When we come back, when we come back to the palace, when we got back to live in the presence of our Father, our King, which is one of the prayers that repeats itself along, our Father, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. And we want to get back to the palace. We want to be next to you. We want to serve you. We're going to change our ways. We're not going to play with, nonsense anymore. This is what Rosh Hashanah is about. And because it's a cosmic gate that allows us to ascend to such a level of getting the closest possible to our Father, our King. This is what Rosh Hashanah is about. And not just for us. What about the rest of humanity that are not even aware? They're being judged. What does it mean they're being judged? If the Creator is giving sustenance, the energy, it's like you're being charged for a whole year. You're being charged for the whole year. However, if you have some flaws in your system, selfishness, we all have it. All of these flows do not allow the charging to be complete. So the more we cleanse ourselves, the more we bring ourselves to basically to do what is called teshuvah. What does it mean? To return our consciousness, we're going to talk about it, back to where it belongs, to be the vessel for our Father, our King. Then there's more space for the charging. When you put your phone to charge and it gets very hot, can go on fire. Who by fire? It's because there's a flaw in the system. And if you're not going to fix it, it can blow. And the charging is not that efficient. That's exactly what's happening on Rosh Hashanah. When you feel being judged the whole year long around, is because on Rosh Hashanah you're being judged by what? By your own imperfection, not by God. God is not judging. God is giving us how much? Infinite bliss and fulfillment. We determine how much of it becomes fulfillment, how much of it becomes pressure, nuisance, heat, all kinds of kinetic energy that moves us around, restless, because we can't find our rest. Now, who determines what happens to that energy that God is giving to us? Only we do. And that day of Rosh Hashanah, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, is about coming to that realization and making it happen. So in order to understand Rosh Hashanah, and I won't go too much of it, you can find on the YouTube, on our channel, Live Kabbalah TV, you can find a special lecture that explains that Rosh Hashanah is not 2 days. It's basically, Kabbalistically speaking, 22 days long. because the human soul, it takes 22 days to finish the restructuring of the human soul. And that structuring is basically made of three stages. The first stage is the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of reconnection. Over these 10 days, from Rosh HaShanah till Yom Kippur, exactly 10 days, we are correcting, improving, perfecting the left column. The left column is the part of judgment. Judgment is not always bad. Judgment could be also good. For instance, when we are reacting to some uncomfortable events and we get very upset and we judge ourselves, we calm ourselves down, we delay the reaction, we judge our state of mind, and we say, we are angry, you're judging, you're upset, and so on. Go back. Let's do tshuva. Let's return. Who are we? Do we love to hate and to be upset and to feel like victims? No, we don't. So what do you want to think? So that's called judgment because we delay. But that's coming from our free will. So the 10 days of judgment, the 10 days of reconnection, it's about recreating our basically state of control. Control is judgment when we control ourselves in a positive aspect, which means we don't go into places that we know they're not aligned with the Creator and our mission on this planet. Then, when these 10 days are over, at the end of Yom Kippur, when we blow the shofar at the end of Yom Kippur, then another era is starting, that is the right column. We're correcting, fixing the right column. These are the days after Yom Kippur and 7 days of Sukkot. Altogether, it's 11 days. On these days, we are working on the right column and the Creator, together with the Creator, to create that part of our soul, the part of giving, thinking big, sharing, having a vision, achieving ambition to do something great in this universe. That's what we work upon with the Creator on these 11 days. And then Simchat Torah is a central column. That's where everything is coming into alignment. And on Simchat Torah, that's where the year really begins, because that's the end, the real end of Rosh HaShanah. Therefore, the new scripts of all of humanity is starting to play on Simchat Torah, not on Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, because we read the 5 books of Moses through the whole year, we complete that on Simchat Torah. We complete it on that day, and the person who comes to read it in the synagogue is called Chatan Torah, the groom of the Torah. The person reading after him is starting to read from the beginning, and he's called Chatan Bereshit, the groom of Genesis. And that's why in Hebrew, when you say you start all over again, להתחיל מברשית, you start from Bereshit, from in the beginning, in the head of the things, which means the year is really starting on Simchat Torah, on that day, because that's when the whole concept of the 22 days of the restructuring of every human soul on earth is commencing. So that's when the script is starting to play. So you can see it over here, from left to right. You see the number of the days. So from day 1 to day 10, so it's aligned from Keter, Chokhmah, Binah, till Malchut. This is correcting the left column. The days of repentance or basically the days of reconnection. Okay, we're cleansing the vessel. And that's where the Nesirah is happening along these 10 days. We complete on Yom Kippur, and then at the end of Yom Kippur, we're starting with the blue part, which is the right column, which is correcting the chesed. The left column is judgment, the right column is chesed. And we have first 5 days, we get what is called internal light from Bina, from Mother. It's the life force that we get as a result of the first 10 days. The light is coming in 5 days. No matter what we do on these days, it's a result of what we did in the first 10 days. Now, but on the full moon, which is day 15 of the month, another light is starting to come in, and that's a surrounding an internal light from Zeranpin and the surrounding light from Bina. This is the light of growth, and that's coming in 7 days. So if you realize on the 15th day comes the chesed from the internal light and the chesed of the surrounding light. That's why it's a full holiday. First day of holiday of Sukkot. And it comes for 5 days, for 7 days. That's from the 15th till the 21st. These are the days of the holiday of Sukkot. And then on the 22nd day, this is central column, Simchat Torah. This is when everything is united together. The left column and the right column, the judgment and the mercy. That's why it's being celebrated like a wedding. We said the person who reads the last part of the Torah, the last paragraph, is the groom. And we dance 7 circles like in a wedding. So basically, this is the completion, this is the union of the upper and the lower worlds. And now the year can commence. Okay. How do we prepare for the new year? So we have to prepare our consciousness and do the teshuvah, return. Now, how does the Zohar explain what the teshuvah is about? If we understand the cosmic concept of the tetragrammaton, that the 4 letters of the tetragrammaton represent 4 cosmic levels of consciousness, 4 different levels of illumination. So the Yud and the Hey and the Vav, they represent the upper part of the tree of life, while the letter Hey represents the lower part of the tree of life, which we are responsible for. It's the me, the mind, okay? State of mind. What about me? Who am I? What is it I want? Where am I? So that sense is the last Hey. When our frequency is off, negative, confusion, egotism, whatever, we go into exile. The Hey is being removed from the Yud, Hey, Vav. So why is it that we feel that we are lost in the darkness? Because we are disconnected from the upper Sefirot, from the main body of the tree of life. So the word Teshuvah means return the Hey in Hebrew. That's what the Zohar is teaching us. So when I return my state of mind, when I return my consciousness, my love, my desires, my passions, when I return them by ascending to who am I and what am I about? I'm here to be the vessel for the endless light of the universe. And I have to follow the covenant of the values of the Torah in order to do that. So when I accept it for myself, authentically, lovingly, that main purpose of what I'm here about. I'm not about the ego. I'm not about competition, about who's smarter, who's stronger, who's more famous, who's more popular, whatever that what people do. This is none of my business. My business is about being the vessel for the Creator, for His light. Then my state of mind ascends, elevates, till it reconnects to the upper Sefirot. of the tree of life. And that's called Teshuvah. Returning Tashuv, hay, returning the hay to itself. The only way the hay can go upwards and return to its place is when we happily, consciously, willingly change our state of mind. You cannot force somebody to elevate. You cannot force somebody to ascend. You cannot force anyone to be aligned with God. It's impossible because if you force somebody, is getting contracted. People, the moment you coerce them for anything, even good things, you think they're good. They're they're being frowned. They go away. They far away. They rebel. Why? It's against our nature. We have the image of the Creator. We have to initiate on our own. That's why the universe was created as a huge space for us to create that return. On Rosh HaShanah, the whole purpose of life is more focused. You can connect to it. It's easier to connect to it. It's a cosmic gate to do it. Oh, you can do it. You should do it every day. On Rosh Hashanah, it's easier because you're connecting to the original force that created the universe, the original like uh, beam, frequency. It's easier to return on these days. So how do we connect? We prepare ourselves because the month of Virgo is about looking for perfection, looking for the divine, looking for something that is beyond just simple perfection. And this is the month of Elul is perfect for that. That's a time to make lists about what is that I want to change, what is that I want to transform, what is that I want to give up and to accept new habits, new belief systems. This is the time. This is the time to meditate on it. This is the time to achieve completions in relationships. And this is the time to get feedback from friends because most of the time we have no idea what's wrong with us unless we interact with people. If you have friends that love you enough to be able to tell you with love, what do you need to change and transform, and they're willing to support you with that, you're the richest person on earth. If you don't, you have a goal. Then when we move into Rosh Hashanah, it's a month of Libra. Libra is the scales, Moznaim, the month of Tishrei. And Moznaim, we learned, it's coming from the word Aleph Zayin Nun, balance, Libra, the scales, but it's also about ear and ear, Bina. It's another name for Bina, which means the world above, the upper world that we are aligned with, that we can connect to. And by participating with that world, we get the cleansing from that world on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur especially. So, therefore, it says in the Zohar, Parashat Vayikra, verse 302, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai made a big effort to prepare the people who led the service and blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Shimon said that the whole world would be atoned by the prayer of these people, which means we can help the whole world to be atoned just through our prayer and our consciousness on Rosh Hashanah. What a responsibility. And then the Zohar continues, verse 308. It's a war. Give me power, says God. By the shofar. How? Because remember we said every day is a sinew, corresponds to a sinew, which is a conduit of energy. Every day is another test, another challenge for each one of us. Every day when we go to sleep, that day, says the Zohar, becomes an entity. He becomes an angel. This angel goes with our soul for a long time, even to eternity. What if that angel is a dark angel? Because the whole day I did much more damage to myself and others than brought any kind of help. So when you create a dark angel in a certain day, it goes with you. When we come to Rosh HaShanah and the Creator is feeding, charging every human soul with its fulfillment, sustenance, life force for the coming year, those dark angels, they become judgment. What does it mean, judgment? Delay. They're the ones who get the system hot. And you know what happens when you charge and it becomes hot? It's because there's so much delay, resistance, that the energy is not, that the electricity doesn't charge anymore. The hotter it becomes, the more delay is in the charging, the more slow. Same thing the Zohar says in the upper world. The more dark angels we have from last year, and could be we have a whole bunch of them from the previous years and from past lives that we didn't fix yet. They delay, they block the flow. They are Satan. Satan in Hebrew means to delay, to disturb. Okay? They are the forces that do not allow the system to be recharged. So the more dark forces we have, the more dark angels we have. So how do we remove those dark angels? So God says, give me power. Do I need to give God power? He is the source of all power. Yeah, in the upper world, but in our world, the light of God can be revealed only through us. Only through us. But if we have too many dark angels, they delay the flow. They become our Satan. It's not God. It's our Satan. From God's point of view, you had me by hello. I love you. I care for you. I want you just to be my child. I'm your father, your king. You are my child, my beloved child, each one of us. I'm giving you right now all the joy like I gave you in the beginning of the creation. Now it's an opportunity to recreate that bliss to you. But if my vessel is blocked with so many dark angels, how can I be charged? How can I be fulfilled? How can my life go on a better path? How do I help the Creator to share with humanity? Shofar. Shofar is a horn of a ram. That's how the sages teach us. It's a horn of a ram. And shofar does not mean a horn. Shofar comes from the letters Shin Pei Resh. Shin Pei Resh means to improve. Okay? In Aramaic is beauty, to beautify. Have you heard a family Shapiro? It's coming from the same, it's beautiful, to beautify. So what the shofar is about, the shofar can remove the delay and then it can beautify, improve the flow of light. Same way, when, sometimes the pipes of the water pipes are getting blocked, clogged. So you need to use any kind of a device to open the clogs. And then the flow is free. And finally, the water flows in the tap. That's the purpose of the shofar. How does it do that? That's a device. And the Zohar says, again, Parashat Vayera, that's in Parashat Vayera, 381, verse 381. Come and see. תחה זה כגב נדה, ביום ראש השנה ויום הכיפורים, דדינה ישתכח בעלמא, יהיו קאים לקטרגה. וישראל בעיה להתערה בשופר ולהתערה קול, דקליל באשה ומיה ורוחה. והתאבידו חד, ולהשמע הוא קול מגו שופר. Come and see. The same way on Rosh HaShanah in Yom Kippurim, when the judgment is in the universe, and Satan is standing there to delay, okay, to disturb, that the nation of Israel must, at that time, to awaken the blowing of the shofar, to awaken a voice, a sound. And that sound is inclusive of water, fire, air. We all know these are symbols. Water is the energy of loving kindness, chesed. Fire is the energy of judgment, gvura. Ruach, air, is the energy of central column, tiferet. So they are chesed, gvura, tiferet. Shenasu bocha, that they synthesize in becoming one power. Why? All of those dark angels were created because we were not balanced. In a certain moment, what took over was egotism, anger, lust, fear, all of those imbalanced energies and forces and emotions. And when we got out of balance, the energy came in, the power came in. The power always comes in because we want it good and want it now. We want peace now. We want to be happy now. We want to solve the problems now. We want everything just now. Give it to me now. When we have no control, you're like a child. You're in a tantrum. So what's the result? By the end of the day, that negative energy, if you didn't correct it, becomes a dark angel. Now this dark angel is blocking the flow of God's bliss to your soul, to all of humanities. The shofar, the secret of the shofar, that the shofar, when we blow the shofar, the voice, the sound of the shofar can awaken the chesed, gvura, tiferet, the right, left, and central columns, that we did not awaken when we were supposed to do that. But now we are focused on that. We prepared ourselves. We're standing in prayer. We got ourselves ready for that. And we arouse the right, left, and center, the water, fire, air. We arouse it consciously. We rebalance ourselves through the sound, the frequencies of the shofar. That's how it works. So the most important thing to do on Rosh HaShanah is to listen to the shofar blowing. So in every synagogue, they blow the shofar. And here the Zohar continues. Again, Zohar Vayera 381. Yudbet Chodshei HaShana im Tikkun HaMalchut. For 12 months of the year, it's all the frequencies we need to face in order to complete the correction, the personal and individual correction, and the common correction of humanity from beginning to end, which means theoretically, we can face, if we really get into the zone, we will face in 1 year all the possible challenges we need to in order to reach completion. From God's point of view, He gives it to us, all of it, and the energy for 1 year. But when we see that the year has come to an end and we are not complete yet, we need to start from the beginning. We need to be recharged for another year. And therefore, every Rosh Hashanah, we start from Bereshit. We start from the beginning. So we start from the beginning is the correction, the restructuring of the vessel. So we can go back to basics and say, just no matter what happened in the last year and the years before, I realize who I'm supposed to be. I'm returning to my original self. If we do that authentically on Rosh Hashanah, especially while listening to the blowing the shofar, when you do teshuvah and you really reconnect, now there's no blockage between you and the tree of life. The flow is perfect. What does that mean? That all the horrible stuff we've done in previous years is gone in the wind, like it never been. And the person can come out of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur like a new creation. New, like just out of the box, out of the factory. So, how do we do it? In the shofar blowing, there are three uh, basic sounds. Tekiah, Shevarim, Teruah. These are the names. Tekiah is a long sound, not very long. It's long as counting to 9. Two. This sound is connecting to the right column, represented by Abraham the patriarch, which means during that sound, we are supposed to connect to ourselves what we didn't do when we messed up. If I was, when I was challenged by anything, and will like, in a moment of challenge, it will like awaken with me. It's all about God's love. It's all an opportunity to connect to the bliss, the endless love, unconditional love that God has for me. Would I be hysterical, hateful? Okay, would I make the mistakes? No, I'll be more focused. That's the tekiah, to raise that frequency of right column, unconditional love of the Creator, that we invited in through the shofar. Like the shofar is narrow on one side, wide on the other side. It's like we're trying to blow that energy from above to below. And it's narrow because our judgments do not allow it to go through. After we arise the right column, the state of mind of understanding God is with me. Whatever happened is just to give me the opportunity to grow. Now, awakening the original judgment in your face. Shevarim, this is the broken sound. Two, two, two. This is awakening the left column. That's why it's broken. That's corresponding to Isaac, the chariot for the left column, for judgment, for Gevurah. So I have to awaken all of those moments, those powers in me that, I wanted it right now. I didn't care about anything and I messed up. But now I raised it to the concept of Tekiah, of Avraham, of Chesed, of right column. Now I can redefine it, not as a uncontrolled whim and desire and lust. No, it is right now conditioned, bound by chesed, by loving kindness. Then there's the teruah. The teruah is tu, 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 which is another kind of judgment, which is malchut. The judgment, but it's the lineage judgment. Okay? Which is another aspect of judgment. And then comes the tekiah central column, Patriarch Jacob. The ability to synthesize between the vessel, the desire, the power, the ambition, and the real trust, emunah, in the light of the Creator that runs the whole show. So when I receive, I want also to share. And when I share, I know that I receive. This is basically what's behind the Tekiah Shvarim Tuah. Tekiah. And they come sometimes Tekiah Shvarim Tuah Tekiah. Sometimes Tekiah Shvarim Tekiah. Sometimes Tekiah Teruah Tekiah. It's always that the chesed opens and closes. And the judgment is in between, monitored. Okay? Now, This is being blown in few sets. So the first set, if you go to the synagogue to listen to the shofar blowing, so there's a morning prayer. After the morning prayer, there's a Torah reading. After the Torah reading, when the Torah is still on the bima, the table, then they bring the shofar and they blow the first round. The first round is to correct anything that is called idolatry. What is idolatry? This is when we are becoming addicted to anything, that we allow anger, lust, passion that are not balanced, that are very selfish to take over. And we become worshippers of that idolatry, like being in a cult. So so we have over here 30 blows, and there are three sets. Why three sets? It's like we are right now, through the blowing of the shofar, it's like we're realigning all of those parts in every human soul. So first, rebuilding the Abraham right column energy in our soul. So you have 30 blows that are divided into 3 10s. Every 10, you have a 10. If you have tekiah, shvarim, tuah, tekiah, that's 4. Tekiah, shvarim, tekiah, that's 7. Tekiah, tuah, tekiah, this is 10. So you get like 3 lines, in that order, the way I said it, 3 lines of blowing, okay? Altogether 10 blows, and that's right column of right column. And then you have the same sets all over again, 10 blows, right column of right column, left column of right column, and again, and that's like this. And then you have another 10. Okay? So that's round 1. Then putting the Torah back to the ark, and then starting the silent prayer, Musaf. During the silent prayer, there are again 30 blows in the same structure, but now we are correcting incest. Incest is all kinds that is connected to Isaac, the patriarch, left column, that we are reworking it out inside our souls. And incest is every kind of cravings that we are being, find ourselves doing stuff that is incest. It's like, I need that and I don't care about the consequences. When a silent prayer is over and we blew another 30 blows, divided into 10, 10, and 10, okay? And then we have the repetition of the silent prayer. Over here, 30 more blows. That's bloodshed. I never killed anyone. Yeah, but when you insult somebody, put somebody in shame, they become white because it's like bloodshed. You spilled their blood. We say that. So we want to correct anything that we did to hurt others and put them in place they wish to they're dead. And then the repetition of the silent prayer is complete. And then we continue, and there's a Kaddish in which there's another 10 blows. This is to correct Lashon Hara, bad speech, evil speech. Again, another 10 blows. And then at the end, one more blow, which is to complete to 101 blows, which is the same gematria as Michael, Archangel Michael. So the chesed overcomes the judgment, and we can be celebrating a better, more improved year. So now we understand that the shofar is about improving, leshaper. The shofar is about upgrading. The shofar about sweetening the judgments. All the judgments that we experienced during the last year, last lifetimes, now we can go closer to God and erase all of those grievances and negativities and whatever, and turn them into opportunities. When we do the main uh, meals of Rosh Hashanah, that's the meal in the eve of Rosh Hashanah and the eve of the second day of Rosh Hashanah. So we start the meal, the seudah, with all kinds of what is called simanim, all kinds of foods that are being prepared especially for Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because the name of the food reminds us something about sweetening the judgment, which means improving whatever is broken, elevating whatever fell. So, apple and honey, apples represent balance. Why? On original apple, you see the colors. There's white, red, and green in the original apples before they start genetically engineer them. White, red, and green. Right, left, and center. Kiyash varim pura. So the apple is a symbol of balancing. Your body is not balanced. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's something balancing in eating apples. So what do? You take the apples, you dip it in honey. So to show that you are sweetening all the judgments of the coming year, right now, Rosh Hashanah, we're in the seed. We have the ability to sweeten all the possible judgments we have created in previous years. So we do it with happiness and with love because we really have faith that it's possible to do it. So we eat, let's say, carrots. The word in Hebrew for carrot is gezer. The word for decree is gzera. Same shoresh, gimel zayin resh. So we say a blessing that we will have only good decrees being decreed upon us for the coming year. So it's like what we say, this is positive affirmations, what you say today. You use beets. Beets is selek. Selek is also the shoresh of the verb listalek, to get out, to remove. So we say we wish that this year, we pray to God to this year, all what bothers us and uh, delays us will be removed from our lives. And that's how, if you go to the list of all the blessings, you see the same structure. So that's about the 2 nights of Rosh Hashanah that we say those blessings in the beginning of the Suda, the Rosh Hashanah holiday meal, in order to say it and to believe in that, again, like the shofar, to remove the negativity. Okay, wishing everybody Shana Tova. Any questions before we finish the lesson? Okay, so we wish Shana Tova, Ktiva v'Chatima Tova, happy and a sweet year. Why a sweet year? So we can sweeten everything, not destroying the negativity, sweetening it, transforming it, turning it into an opportunity for revelation of light. Because every desire that we messed up, we have to correct, to fix, not to eliminate. So we're not about detaching, we're not about suppressing, we're about correcting, transforming. Rosh Hashanah is an amazing time to transform the bad memories and the hysteria, whatever, into something good. And that's the purpose of our prayers for us and for all of the humanity. Thank you. L'Shana Tova, you'll be inscribed for peace and all what is good with all of humanity together.